Ever since we first looked up at the stars, we've wondered, are we alone? We've told stories about who or what might be looking back, and for pretty much the last 50 years, one person has basically written the rule book for those stories, Steven Spielberg. He's the guy who taught us to look up and feel wonder, hope, and yes, sometimes pure terror. And now he's coming back to the very subject that launched his career. But this time, something feels really, really different. So let's get into it. It all kicked off back in 1977 with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Spielberg took what was kind of a fringe tinfoil hat topic, UFOs, and he turned it into this epic, breathtaking spectacle. It wasn't about little green men with laser guns. No, it was this deeply human story about obsession, about the need to connect with something bigger than us. And then, bam, just 5 years later, he completely flips the script with E.T. This time, the alien wasn't some cosmic mystery to be chased. It was a friend who needed our help. He made the other not a threat, but a reflection of our own ability to love and connect. I mean, the film was a global phenomenon. It defined childhood for an entire generation. So now, after years of making historical dramas and deeply personal films, Spielberg is heading back to the stars with a brand new, super-secret project. But the vibe has totally shifted. That sense of wonder and friendship from his early movies, it seems to be replaced by this creeping sense of dread, and a question that feels way more urgent. So here's the plan for this explainer. First, we're going to dig into Spielberg's lifelong obsession with this stuff. Then, we'll shift gears and look at the real disclosure movement that's happening right now, with a new documentary that's making some absolutely explosive claims. After that, we'll dive into the real disclosure, Spielberg's new movie, and see how these two worlds are colliding. It's pretty wild. And finally, we'll ask the big question. What does it all mean? And who are we supposed to believe? To really get what Spielberg's doing now, you have to look at the road that got him here. For him, this isn't just another movie genre, it's a personal fascination that has woven its way through his entire career. The story goes, it all started when he was a little kid and his dad woke him up in the middle of the night to watch a meteor shower. That cosmic light show planted a seed. In '77, Close Encounters was this beautiful, almost religious quest for contact. In '82, E.T. made that contact personal, a story about friendship in a suburban backyard. But then, fast forward to 2005, in a world after 9/11, his vision got a whole lot darker with War of the Worlds. Suddenly, the aliens weren't friendly or mysterious anymore. They were just this overwhelming force of pure destruction. And now we have Disclosure Day coming in 2026. And honestly, what it's about is anyone's guess. Okay, but here's the thing. While Spielberg was busy creating fiction, a very, very real story was unfolding in the background. And it's the crucial context for his new movie. We're talking about the real-world push for disclosure, and it has absolutely reached a fever pitch. First off, a little housekeeping on the terminology. You don't hear UFO as much in official circles anymore. The government's term is now UAP, or Unexplained Anomalous Phenomena. And it's not just a name change, it's part of a real effort to take the stigma away and treat this as a serious issue of national security and science. So what really kicked things into overdrive recently was this documentary that premiered at the SXSW Festival. It's called The Age of Disclosure. And it wasn't just another rehash of old stories. No, this features some incredibly high-level insiders, making claims that apparently had the audience just stunned. And here's the central accusation. It comes from Luis Elizondo, the man who literally ran the Pentagon's official UAP investigation program. He claims there's been an 80-year government cover-up, calling it the most successful disinformation campaign in history. I mean, that is a staggering thing to hear from a guy on the inside. But this didn't just happen out of the blue. The documentary is really the climax of 2 decades of things escalating. You had credible military sightings like the Tic Tac incident back in 2004. Then, in 2017, the New York Times just blew the lid off the whole thing, revealing the Pentagon's secret program. That led to official government task forces and, the big one, the July 2023 congressional hearing with whistleblower David Grush testifying under oath. The doc is really just pulling all these threads together. And you really have to look at who is talking here. These are not easily dismissed people. We're talking about the former head of the Pentagon's UAP program, the guy who led UAP analysis for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. The list goes on. These are serious people from the absolute heart of the U.S. national security world. All told, 34. 34 military and intelligence veterans go on the record in this film. So what is their big claim? Well, get ready for it. Building on what David Grush said in Congress, they allege that the U.S. has been secretly running a program for decades to retrieve crashed non-human spacecraft, and that it's in possession of non-human biologics. In other words, bodies. Now, it is an absolutely mind-blowing claim, and critics, of course, are quick to point out that for all the testimony, there's still no hard physical proof shown in the film. All right, let's pivot. As all this real-world drama is unfolding, Hollywood's master storyteller was quietly putting together his own version of a disclosure story. After a year of total secrecy, with a project hidden under fake names, Universal just dropped the first trailer, and the title alone was a bombshell: Disclosure Day. It immediately plugs right into the language of the real-world UAP movement. And this trailer is just a masterclass in building tension. It starts with Emily Blunt giving a weather report on TV, and her voice gets hijacked by these bizarre clicking sounds, live on air. We see animals going haywire, a total Spielberg classic. We get a whistleblower, played by Josh O'Connor, promising to leak classified proof to the world. There are these hints of a really sinister group, maybe controlling people's minds, and it all builds to a nun asking this profound question about humanity's place in the cosmos. And look at this cast. We're talking Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth. This is a serious, prestigious movie. And maybe the most important part, the score is by the one and only John Williams, his 30th time working with Spielberg. This is a massive Hollywood event. The film's tagline says it all, doesn't it? The truth belongs to 7 billion people. That's not just marketing speak. That is a full-on mission statement. It's framing this secret as a fundamental human right. Okay, so we've got these two tracks running side by side. A real documentary with incredible claims and a fictional blockbuster telling an eerily similar story. This is where things get really, really weird, where these two worlds just smash into each other. I mean, just look at the language. It's uncanny. The real movement's call for transparency becomes the movie's line, people have a right to know the truth. The movement's core belief, we are not alone, is twisted into that haunting question in the trailer. And the whole goal of giving information to the public, that becomes the movie's tagline. It belongs to 7 billion people. They're speaking the exact same language. And the themes line up just as perfectly. The documentary claims there's a secret crash retrieval program. The movie has a whistleblower leaking classified info. The documentary alleges government disinformation. The movie shows a sinister group controlling people. Even the real-world reports of UAPs messing with things are mirrored in the movie's plot, where normal life gets totally disrupted. And the effect in the real world has been immediate. I mean, the internet just exploded. The overlap is so intense that a lot of people are seeing Spielberg's movie not as just entertainment, but as a kind of soft disclosure, a way to gently prepare the public for a reality that's about to be officially revealed. Which, of course, leads to the billion-dollar question. What on earth is going on here? Why are these two huge cultural events, one factual, one fictional, hitting on the exact same theme at the exact same time? Is this just a wild, remarkable coincidence? Or is there maybe something more to it? Let's break down the possibilities. Well, the most straightforward answer is that both of these projects are simply products of the moment. They're responding to this massive cultural shift where the UAP topic has gone from the fringes right into the front pages of the New York Times and the halls of Congress. And you can literally see that shift right here. Before that big New York Times report in 2017, mainstream interest was pretty low. After the article, it picked up. And then after the 2023 congressional hearings, public interest and official attention just went through the roof. Both the documentary and the movie are growing out of that same fertile ground. So, how do we make sense of this? Well, there are basically three big theories. The first is what people call cultural priming, the idea that pop culture is sometimes used to get the public ready for a huge revelation. The second, and more down-to-earth theory, is just capitalizing on the zeitgeist. Smart creators see a hot topic and they jump on it. The third is maybe the most interesting, the feedback loop. Real events inspire art, and then that art shapes how we all feel about those real events, which then creates more events, and on it goes. So all of this leaves us in a really fascinating and frankly kind of confusing spot. The line between what's real and what's a story on this topic has never, ever been blurrier.
The movie trailer itself asks this huge philosophical question. It takes the debate beyond just government secrets and technology and puts it right in the realm of faith and our place in the universe. And that's a question that hits hard whether you're watching a movie or listening to testimony in Congress.
And so, this is where we are. We have a real political movement led by actual intelligence officials demanding the truth, and it's being perfectly mirrored in real time by a fictional story from arguably the greatest storyteller of our time.
This really is the heart of the dilemma. On one side, you have the age of disclosure. It's got compelling testimony from people with incredible credentials. But there's no smoking gun, no piece of a spaceship for us to see. And on the other side, you have Disclosure Day, which is a powerful, emotional, thrilling story that is, by its own definition, completely made up. So that brings us to the final question we have to ask ourselves. When we're trying to figure out one of the biggest mysteries there is, who has more power over what we believe? Is it the officials with their testimony or the artists with their stories? In this whole disclosure dilemma, maybe the answer to who you trust says less about what's actually up in the sky and more about how we as people decide what's real in the first place.